Hello. Today, we'll continue with Chapter 2 for Nerus. So last time, both Obla and Nerus joined the second battle of the Aeon, but only after the leader of the Descendants, I forgot his name, Ocellus. His name is Ocellus, who was the leader of the Descendants. He gave Nerus the permission to join the Descendants in the war against the Shapeshifters. Ocellus didn't completely trust Nerus, so basically all of them agreed that Nerus will only be able to join the battle if the battle didn't go so well that the Descendants had no choice but to have Nerus join them. So, while the battle between the Descendants and the Shapeshifters were going on, and while Oba was participating in the battle, Nerus stood at his mansion waiting to see how the fight progressed. And when Sats came back from the battle and told him that the battle wasn't going well for the Descendants, that was when Nerus decided to join the battle, and he fought against an Aeon who was on the side of the Shapeshifters, and a huge void was created. A huge void was created on the ground, and Nerus was able to get the Aeon sucked into the void. Unfortunately, he also ended up getting sucked in there as well. And that was not good because now Sax has to find out a way to get Nerus back, which could take hundreds or thousands of years for him to do. So, it's sad that after their brief reunion, Oba has to go without Nerus for another long period of time. And also, Ocellus wasn't happy with Sat because the purpose of the battle of the Aeon was to destroy the Aeon, but I believe it was Ocellus said that the power of the Aeon is within Oba now. He has the power of the Aeon, and that went against the purpose of battle because the Aeon is still technically exists, but it's within Oba now. And if Oba decides to go to the main bases, he could pose a threat to his fellow Descendants. So he decided to, I guess, exile himself from his fellow Descendants. So things did not really go well for both Oba and Nerus. Hopefully, as chapter 2 goes on, and if there's a chapter 3, hopefully we'll figure out if Oba is able to free Nerus. Also, I saw an Itch.io where the creator of Nerus said that he hoped to have a brand new update of the game out by the end of this month. So, it shouldn't be too long until a new update comes out. But there's still plenty of stuff to cover in chapter 2, so I'm going to go ahead and start from where we left off last time. The light dissipates, revealing I'm still in the record storage room. The time egg states before projecting the timeline in front of me again. I need a moment to collect my thoughts. Viewing memories while conscious feels very different from how I was doing it before. When I was unconscious, it was like a very vivid dream. It's strange when I think back to it, but somehow I can process the fact that I wasn't really there. By consciously observing a world that feels so unreal while not being able to interact with anything was another matter. Not to mention Sax's or rather Obley's thoughts invading my head. I noticed tears are running down my cheeks. I hurried to wipe them. Now Obley, I don't know who I am. Still, but after experiencing things from this point of view, the idea of me being Obley doesn't sit right with me. A sensation like a needle scraping my skin rises up from my back. But what is it? I woke up in this crazy facility that doesn't feel like the same world I have been witnessing so far. And yet nothing else around such a sensation for me until now. Went over it in my head trying to pinpoint the source of that scraping, but to no avail. I can't help but laugh. What am I trying to figure out? None of this makes any sense. Any normal person would break down, curl up, and cry themselves to sleep by now. The numb in my throat alerts me of its presence, but I swallow it back down. I can't allow myself that leisure. My ruined body quivers with impatience, pushing me forward. I worry for an instant about the water giving out under me as I sit down, but this sea seems to be as solid as a concrete floor. It probably isn't water, but something that looks similar. I don't know why I am in a carcass, or if I was related to it prior to awakening here. This being a facility implies there are people running it. Maybe I'm one of those people and I don't remember it. But that's just a shot in the dark. As far as I'm concerned, these stories are being shown to me for a reason, so they might hold the key to my lost memories. Now that I know who Obley is and what happened to him, I could make a good guess as to why he was there on Earth in 3041 AD. It probably was related to bringing Nerus back from the other side of that breach. What did they say was on the other side, the void? This could be wrong, and there is an 800-year void between those 2 points. Nerus could already be back, and Obley is on Earth for an unrelated reason. If he isn't, Obley could still be looking for a way to bring him back, or perhaps he gave up and his presence is again for an unrelated reason. That last possibility is unlikely, however. He strikes me as too persistent to give up because 800 years passed. We're now on one with only the first 2 possibilities. The real problem is if and how this relates to the murder Abby case, although they are both different riddles that could hold clues to solving each other. But I don't see them. This is as far as I'll get with the information I have. As I get up, I pick up a crackling sound. But when I turn around, I only see in threads like thin wounds in the dark. What was that? Hey, I'm alone here, right? I say to the egg. Affirmative. After a few seconds, I shrug off my uneasiness and get back to work. The timing egg is still waiting for my command. I point at the record directly above the one I just finished playing and speak up. About this record, this number next to it is a date correct? Affirmative. But here it says these 2 records last from 2151 to 3020 AD. Does this second record really last nearly 800 years? Analyzing data. The machine goes dead silent. I take in my surroundings and sigh. I stare at it, and nothing happens. Just as I'm opening my mouth, it returns to life. The Britannian record includes only fragments of events between 2151 and 3020 AD. Then it's incomplete? Negative. There are no traces of corrupts or dare eraser in the Britannian record. I close my eyes as I let out a contemplative hum. Although the meaning of this eludes me, my instincts tell me this isn't a coincidence. But I keep my eyes peeled for any suspicious detail while I watch this record. Okay, so here's a time egg thing. So something new just popped up here, and this is 3020 right here. The part where we saw Nerus and Oblian. This is 21. This 2251 AD. This new part that popped up here is for 3020 AD. That's close to Bite Elisa's time. So I wonder where this will be here. Initializing playback. The record starts with static. My head feels light as I wait for a step that never happens. My consciousness still feels like my own. I'm not being forced to watch through someone else's eyes. Not that there is much to observe. There's nothing here. I wonder if the person this record's point of view belongs to is asleep or unconscious. But I saw some of Elisa's dreams, so I assume that shouldn't matter. As if in answer to my hesitation, reality breaks down. The sad street is swallowed by the dark. It's sudden violent and it encompasses everything, but it's the only source of stimulation in this void. During its absence, a sensation like being paralyzed in bed invades me. The darkness covers me like a mantle, suffocating me, not allowing me to move a muscle until it is torn apart. But soon enough, the dark clears out and an image starts forming, as if a piece of pitch black cloth was being torn open and appears piece by piece until it is fully revealed. The leftover ashes made it look like a macabre snowfall had fallen upon the mason. The stench of burning death was nearly unbearable. Obi covered his nose with his sleeve as he tried to ignore it. Inside he called for Severus. The servant saw himself, looking somewhat distracted. His master's absence told Severus everything before the senator even spoke. Something went wrong, didn't it? Yes, I don't know what will happen to Nerus. No one implies he isn't dead, but I have no way to make sure. Only a few of the aeons have been in the void, so we know nothing of it. Damn it. Obi put up the most stoic expression he could and looked at Severus in the eye. He's okay, the aeon didn't kill him, but he's unable to return here right now. He accidentally flew into the breach and is stuck in the void right now. The void, will he be able to return? Silvers was aware of what a meaningless question it was. How could Nerus return to this world if even an Aeon needed to break in? Still, he hoped Obley would refute him. The descendant noticed a sign of that hope in his eyes and, unable to answer, chose to look down. I see. Silvers was outwardly amicable and playful, but there was much he didn't say and so. If as sex, Obley had quickly torn down all boundaries as a servant, then Silvers was the opposite. He was a model shapeshifter, a prisoner waiting for execution that will never be enacted, clinging to whatever he holds dear. But in his eyes there is no resignation. It didn't matter if Silvers' hope was fueled by the thought of eventual release, or that he was allowed to find joy in his existence despite it all. That small thread was all that kept him sane throughout his inconceivably long life. And that was his duty as a servant. He had never meant to wield Savills, only Savills a servant, so he didn't know how to talk to him now. Are you afraid, Lord Obley? Huh? You look worried. Let me put you at ease. My master made his decisions, and all I could do was respect them and observe. No one is to blame for this. It didn't even cross my mind. You're too composed to jump to doing that. I don't say this only for myself. I truly mean it. No one is at blame for this. Obley understood, but he couldn't take his words to heart. Who had swayed things to go this way but himself? Silvers was only trying to be kind to him, he thought. There were many other great shapeshifters Silvers could work under, so it wasn't like he had lost his life's purpose. But it must have hurt him to suddenly lose the master he had dedicated so many years of his life to. Obley was frustrated that he couldn't find kind words to say to him in return. I suppose I should figure out what I will do from now on. I'll bring him back. I'll bring Nerus back, I promise. The image darkens and sinks into the darkness. Although I expect a wave of sadness to hit me, instead I am afflicted by a sense of danger. My ears and eyes are sharper than ever, searching for something. The melancholy and sadness are buried under layers of survival instincts. I am prey. I must be careful, lest I am haunted. I keep running towards the light at the end of the tunnel. I've gone so far already, and yet the light hasn't gotten any closer. How can these be Obley's true feelings? I had run my hand on the scene I just saw, and a sense of urgency invading me. The danger fades, giving place to a weary, common contemplation. Then the image returns. There are only snippets of the years that followed. Father's sympathy for the servant, Savills was in a much better position than Obley. Unable to live as a shapeshifter or a descendant, Obley disguised himself and started living among the mortals. Obley stared at the ceiling. Although the discomfort from lying down on such a hard surface urged him to get up and get started with his day, he had no energy. He moved his feet from left to right in a rhythm, not doing much else. He closed his eye again, but sleep wouldn't embrace him again. Even if it had done so, he would have woken up to the bang at his door. Are you there? Don't oversleep again. We gotta head out soon. Somehow the annoyance that sound produces was enough fuel for Obley to utter a shout. For what? Work, dummy. What reliable co-worker he had. Alright, give me a moment. It had been a few weeks since Obley had settled down on this planet. infiltrating the mortals who live among them was simple for him. All that experience from his life as sex had come in handy. This plan was inherited by people with hard cells covering their backs and bird-like features. They were part of an interplanetary federation, and because of their sturdy bodies and stamina, most of them were employed for manual labor as Sibula. No matter how much technology advances, it can never interact tiredness and underfunding. Life here was still difficult. The worsening working conditions had made the workers an easy target for the safe centers in the past, to the point the abundant Nerus led to the apparition of the monsters the mortals call abominations. So the descendants increased their presence on this planet to put a stop to safe center activity and bring back order. And they retreated after that. And they were
Comet buses 324 2023 28 used 11 hours ago, 6 minutes, 54 seconds, row 1, column 1.
Oakley stared at the ceiling. Although this discomfort from lying down on such a hard surface urged him to get up and get started with his day, he had no energy. He moved his feet from left to right in a rhythm, not doing much else. He closed his eyes again, but sleep wouldn't embrace him again. Even had done so, he would have woken up to the bang on his door. "Are you there? Don't oversleep again. We gotta head out soon." Somehow the noise that sound produces was enough fuel for Oba to utter a shout. For what? Work, dummy. What reliable co-worker he had. Alright, give me a minute. It had been a few weeks since Oba had settled down on this planet. Infiltrating the mortals and living among them was a symbol for him. All that experience from his life as sex had come in handy. This planet was inhabited by people with hard cells covering their backs and bug-like features. They were part of an interplanetary federation because of their sturdy bodies and stamina. Most of them were employed for manual labor as Sibula. No matter how much technology advances, it can never counteract the tiredness and underfunding. Life here was difficult. The worsening working conditions had made the workers an easy target for the safe centers in the past, to the point that abundant Nerus led to the apparition of the monsters the mortals call abominations. So the descendants increased their presence on this planet to put a stop to safe center activity and bring back order. They never retreated after that. Oakley considered himself simple-minded, so he always chose to work in isolated planets where he didn't have to get involved with complicated matters like interplanetary politics. He had heard enough horror stories from fellow descendants to think places like this were a minefield. He admired his siblings who could put up with it. But now he was planning to make use of the close relationships between the locals and his siblings. The descendant portals made it possible to open a breach. Nominal had merely identified ways to support their design for that purpose. Oakley planned to learn what Nominal had done and try to replicate it on a smaller scale. Since Nominal's key had been blown to bits alongside the teleporter, Oakley's only option was to begin from scratch. But finding that design flaw wouldn't be easy. Otherwise, the two battles of the Aeon wouldn't have taken place. The descendants would have found and fixed it. That was what they were currently trying to do, according to Locusti. I won't need to investigate at all if they're lucky. I would just need to sweep in and make off with the results of this research. But Oceros is always so suspicious that he might decide to take measures against me if he learns about this. I need to be sneaky. Are you alright? You haven't talked much. Although his co-worker looked dense, he was very mindful of other people which made him like that at their workplace. One day he had noticed Obi was down and invited him to eat together. Since then, he had taken it upon himself to help Obi work through his bad habits. Obi was a bit annoyed at first as he wanted to be left alone. But in his loneliness, he had grown to appreciate his company. Not really worried about my family. I'm thinking of paying them a visit, but we aren't on good terms, so it was as if he had been splashed with a bucket on cold water. Obi's hands shook as he continued reading. He had to restrain himself to not tear the layer of the beds. It was already risky enough that he had sneaked his way here. He needed to get back to work before one of his assistants checked on him. If they got suspicious, they would surely have a soulmate suspect him and blow his cover. He shoved everything back to where he found it and opened the door just enough to peek into the hallway before making his way downstairs. His siblings had been unable to find an answer to the teleporter problem. O had assumed they only started to look into it recently, but research had started as soon as right after the first battle of Aeon. And up until now, they had found nothing. Their research had stagnated from the start, and there were no signs of progress being made. But there was no time to wait. The battles had proven the portals to be a time bomb. None of the measures they couldn't discard the possibility of permanent damage if more breaches were to be opened. So Nerus had finally decided it was time to retire them. The descendants would adopt a warper system and abandon the use of teleporters post-haste. The teleporters would eventually be destroyed to prevent further shapeshifter sabotage. It was 2 months. With no other source of comfort, Obi allowed himself to wallow in this boring, mundane life the mortals led. Despite his efforts, his sadness was in display through his arched eyebrows and frowning mouth. Are you listening? Star was spacing out. His friend sighed. He leaned closer and spoke quietly. He didn't want the boss to notice they were talking. You were looking so much better lately. What happened? Something with your family? The man was sympathetic. After all, only a few of the workers there lived with their families in a nearby town. The rest of them lived alone in apartments assigned by their employers. Living in town was expensive, so although many of them had come here to provide for their families, they had been forced to leave them behind in their hometowns. This often led to tension and animosity as the distance eroded their bonds. So he understood he was used to cases like this. Anything he had to urge Obi to stop spacing out and keep it under for another hour. The day was almost over. If nearly everyone there was carrying baggage like that, Obi wondered if the same was true for his good friend. Come to think of it, he did recall him mentioning a son of his. He decided he would ask him about it after work, but that opportunity would never come. It was negligence from one of the exhausted employees, a failure from the abused equipment. Obi didn't stay to find it, a sentence he only vaguely remembered from when he was sacked returned in full. He still had hope Nerus would return, so he only truly experienced loss again when he realized that this person was dead for good. Obi used to guess if one experienced enough pain, they would learn to live with it. His memories of sex had proved him wrong. Knowing how agonizing and slow pain can be made it all the more terrifying. So he ran away. Better be alone than live in fear of this pain striking without warning. Unable to be a descendant, sated and immortal, he now truly was a homeless vagabond, a lonesome existence that might as well have been tiptoeing at the edge of the world. This was a pleasant surprise for once. And seeing Sales had taken his promise to her, seeing as someone had been taking care of the mansion. It had been years Obi expected to see at least some level of dilapidation, but everything looked just as he remembered it. Even the white flowers still had their pale glow. After exploring the house to make sure it was uninhabited, Obi returned to the parlor and sat down in his usual spot. As he sat there, the incessant tick-tocking of a clock he hadn't noticed before started to wear down his patience. He was angry. Sills was right. This might have been the result of his actions, but that didn't make him guilty. Obley didn't understand Oceros or why he placed the memory eraser seal. What did he have to do with it? They were cornered at the second battle of the Aeon. If Obley was guilty of anything, it was of being too worried to realize the portal was about to be destroyed. Not that Nerus would have heard his warning from that distance. Never had taken advantage of his agitated state after the battle to trick him to consume the Aeon's soul. Nothing made sense. Nothing worked in his favor. Roaring, Obley stood up and kicked the relatively small table in front of him. He immediately regretted as his foot made a crunchy noise. He set down Woman's foot as he waited for the throbbing pain to fade. Being emotional like this had already caused him enough. He needed to calm down and think. I held the pillow close to my chest. I had been lying down for long enough that my bones are starting to ache, but I don't have the energy to get up and stretch my limbs. Bitterness and sadness poured in my stomach, festering weighing down on me. I lay immobile, replaying my memories over and over. The salty smell of the beach, the stars, the ass. The asses are so comforting. I close my eyes and visualize it. It's a surprisingly warm night and I'm lying down on the grass. But that's all. This sight is mine, for I'm unable to share with anyone else. For how long will this go on? Will the cells ever forgive me for whatever I did? Will I ever stumble upon some miracle to bring Nerus back? Why did this happen? I hold on to that question as it brings me to my feet. It's like a thin short string digging deeper into my skills the harder I grab it. But I don't let go. Back then I had been acting as if I was always one step ahead of things. I pretended to understand my situation and to understand Nerus. But now here I am, being gloomy and wondering where things went wrong. I already paid the price for that arrogance and my anger. Being lying down waiting was the correct choice. Domino was strange, but there was always intent behind his actions. He was making me go through this for a reason. So if I just waited, and yet I still don't let it go. What did Nerus say back then? Something about me having the eyes of a fighter? I guess that's true. Back when I realized my memories of sex would be wiped out, I didn't resign myself to that fate. I resisted. I saw through Oceros and overcame his spell. Then we tried fighting to ensure the future we wanted. It went wrong, but so what? Are we supposed to wallow in self-deprecation just because we tripped once? I'm not going to wait and let myself be used by Naruto and the likes further. But I can't ignore our mistake. We were soon the second battle of the Aeon ended the way Naruto wanted. Nerus and I played right into his hand. I wasn't sure before the battle, but now I'm certain that Naruto's disdain for the Aeons is genuine. Back then, he could have prevented the Aeon's demise if he wanted. Nerus couldn't have stopped him in the Aeon. So the question is what his true objective is, if not to destroy this world. Charging in blindly again while doing good. I need to understand what I'm dealing with. Naruto's resentment and Oceros' distrust. Is there a link between those two? And as I think, There, I noticed something in the sky. A single star starts shining with more intensity. It's still faint. I can barely tell it apart from the others, but it is there. And one of the morals my family harvested when Narcissus felt like this when they learned the truth about our world. Is this what they felt as they saw that distant, peerless world? That place no one but the aeons can enter, where souls go become another drop of water in the sea? What must it have been knowing they would never reach that sky? At least I can form my own opinion. I was born having a glimpse of those stars in my memories as all descendants were. It always gave me this feeling of inferiority, as if it was telling me to die just to preserve that peerless sky. But a sky like that can only distract from the ugliness and malice underneath it. I dislike it. The fake stars always welcome us, gave us light and warmth without discrimination. So they are the ones we are grateful to. They are the ones we will protect. Regardless, I am not ascending to get close to the real perfect stars. The sky, no, the sea I'm descending into leads to a bottomless depression. My truth rests not above the clouds, but within the most profound burrows of this glass sea. One finger at a time, I let go of the thread. As I lose my balance, everything turns upside down. I dive into the sea of stars. A gentle hum surrounds me. My starship lets give in, and I start floating in the vacuum of space. Inspired by exhaustion, I feel rewarded. I finally made it. How long ago did I start walking this path? Was it when Nerus disappeared to the breach? No. It started much, much longer ago. Before I became Obley again. Before I became Sax. Before I first met Nerus. Meeting him back then might have been a fortunate coincidence. If I hadn't, I might have resigned myself to my fate the moment I noticed the strings moving me along. It means nothing for a poet to just notice its strings. For it to become something more, it must sever those strings. And now I have the courage to do just that. But there's one more thing I am noticing just now. Those who go through Narcissus get a glimpse of the pleroma, where the aeons exist. So what will I, who went through the opposite process, see? If we go with the puppet metaphor, it would be fitting to say I didn't stop at severing my strings, but used them as a rope to climb up and meet the puppeteer. But a puppeteer often merely acts out someone else's script. I smell salt in the air. I can even taste it if I open my mouth. I turn around and meet this world's master. What do we have here? A loud yet soothing voice surrounds me from all sides. The sight of 3 black stars fills me with a mix of awe and anxiety. I try to regain my footing, but it's useless with nothing to step on. The descendants only heard this being through ourselves, the same way Naranda relayed the aeon's will to the shapeshifter. This world's puppeteer, the demiurge, who was expecting more visitors. How did he stumble upon this place, little creature? I tried to reply, but there's a knot in my throat. All of this was as much of a surprise for me as it was for him. He notices my stupefaction. In response, the space grows a little warmer, trying to comfort me. Oh, you don't need to actually answer. Do not be afraid. Is there anything I can do to ease your discomfort? I'm alright. Do you know who I am? Before I can stop myself, I fired out one of my usual retorts. I wouldn't be here if I didn't. How Demiurge seems amused. My stomach turns as my body suddenly regains balance. I get put back on my feet. Stepping on nothing feels almost as disorientating as floating. begin my precarious accommodations. I'd like to take this conversation elsewhere, but I am currently unable to leave this dimension. So worry about being trapped here too? Oh, not old child. This is the center of the world. It became my prison when I decided to repel the outsiders trying to bring harm to my creations. Although my defense hasn't been faultless, but it would seem you already know that. In your case, you should be able to move freely in and out here. I get the impression you know who I am. Could it be it's true that you are omniscient to a degree I can observe anything happening in my realm if I wish to do so? I admit, I did witness a recent conflict with the Aeon. But you should know that as long as we're here, we can't hide anything from each other. You haven't noticed, but you as well are prying into my mind. Until it resonates. I chuckle. Your volition creates as a stark contrast to those who fall for the satiator's whispers and have their souls torn out of this world by the nonsense. You have such a strong, unstoppable conviction, yet now you've become shy all of a sudden. I start laughing as well as a surge of joy from the demiurge fills me. But alongside it comes a feeling of emptiness, heartache. This is something I became very acquainted with since I was denied living as a descendant, satiator, and mortal. A loneliness as deep as this sea, vast enough to become one's home. Although home merely welcomes you, if it never lets you go, there's a jail instead. You came here because you were looking for something, child. What is it? Use your own words. I smile. If you are reading my mind, you must know who Nerus is. At first I was looking for a way to bring him back into the dimension. It seems you're the one responsible for the wall separating us from the void, but I suppose I can't just ask you to temporarily lift it. Of course not. This wouldn't be a prison if he was allowed to enter and leave at all. The walls of denial built by the demiurge were so easily defeated, I would have never arrived here. To live a long, happy life with him is my objective. Although I think it's a humble request, making it a reality won't be so easy. The recursion afflicting you is merciless. It will destroy everything that stands against it, no matter how small. What a terrible series of events have led you here, child. I can hardly imagine a worse fate than yours. That might be true, but learning that helped me look at the big picture. I realized I was being deceived. I don't need to worry about how I would reunite with Nerus. That will take care of itself with time. What I need to do is smash the fate tearing us apart. The demiurge goes silent. A silver runs down through my body. Illness, fear, or excitement. I can't grasp what response my words elicited. He takes them in little by little, contemplative. Child, it might truly be a coincidence that you have arrived here because I can't do much to help. I am held down by a change of fate just as much as you are, however. Once had determination like yours. I couldn't see it through, but if there is the smallest chance you may succeed, allow me to encourage you. You see through the web of lies surrounding you. The fact you are here now is proof of that. You can't be deceived any longer. Don't hesitate. Trust your judgment. Just don't lose sight of your objective. Every day, after hunting for my food, I sit down and think. Although I understand all the mysteries around myself and Nerus, I have an idea of Nominal's goals. I still don't know much about how he plans to achieve them. As much as I attempt to look at things from his perspective, I fail to see how things will progress from here on. Back during the second battle, he had me consumed the Aeon's soul, telling me to use his power to bring Nerus back. He said me had to be isolated to make me grow desperate, so my biggest moment of need he could come to offer me help. That's obvious to me now. So he must need me and the power of the Aeon. He probably still knows something I don't, because I can't see how things advance from here on out. He must be biding his time. Other than that, I often reminisce about my days with my siblings and with Nerus, sometimes with tears in my eyes as I rest by the fire for warmth. Those are the moments where I am truly alone, but it's good I can still shed tears. If I haven't run out of them, then I still have some hope in my heart. One day Nerus will be back. I'm sad because that moment can't come soon enough. I'm tired of being lonely. I have no doubt it will happen. I wish I can reconcile with my siblings in the future, but that might be hard. But when I don't cry, before I realize it, I'm pulled back into the Nerus' dimension. He seems to enjoy sharing happy memories with me. Remembering the old days fills me with a fuzzy warmth and tender indulgence. Yesterday he told me about the earlier days of this world before the very first Aeon attacked and he became a prisoner of this dimension. I take a seat on the nothingness and look up, rocking my legs back and forth as I enjoy the beach-like smell of salt and the Nerus' storytelling. He tells me about how he created wild monsters and gave them a fraction of his soul, but still carry a bit of Ploma's light to make them into the mortals we know today. Wanting to act as a parental figure, he would often descend to try to provide guidance, only to realize his kids have already learned to survive and build all sorts of devices he didn't understand too well. He learned a lot more from his children than he taught them. It's only natural. He created the world, but he only watches over it, never needing to interact with it. He doesn't need to figure out clever ways to survive, to grow food or hunt his prey. To organize a clan, a town, a nation. Yet no matter how happy his memories are, I can't ignore the nostalgia and bitterness that permeates them. They are in the past. His present is this cage of his creation and the few select people who come talk to him. So, does the sales come here often? So I worry about running into him? Not at all. I barely see a sales anymore now that he's learned how to command the descendants. But aren't the descendants your right hand? Surely he keeps close contact. It's more of a professional relationship. He doesn't enjoy talking the way we and my other friend do. About that, you did mention having other visitors. I assumed you were talking about ourselves. He must have already known this, but he still asks am I missing. No, it's someone like you who managed to stumble upon this place. I don't think you two should meet. You wouldn't get along. Curious, I tried to press him for more details, but my attempt was met with solid denial, like I'm trying to push through a wall. I soon give up and settle on a different question. If you say so, but that does make me wonder, do you ever have friends besides us and the mortals? I don't know if I'd call them friends, but I did used to have another family long ago, before I created this world. They live in the void where your Nerus is trapped. They are not alive in the visual sense of the world. They don't truly exist. Sometimes I wish I would have stayed there a bit longer, explore more. There's much for me to learn and discover, undoubtedly. But to be honest, I don't believe they must be pleasant company for a Nerus. That's not great news. I know he should be fine, but I can't help but worry for him. It's only natural. You must miss him. You miss your family? Naturally, I wish I was able to see them again. I don't even know what they look like. I only remember their voices and their names. But still, I like to think about them and about the void. It was a most extraordinary place, environments and beings that I couldn't dream to reproduce. I understand why Ceres doesn't like talking to the demiurge. He is someone with the descendant's best interest in mind who can't take his eyes away from the future. The demiurge is a complete opposite. All he talks about are memories from happier times because he lacks a future. This empty cell of a dimension inside by himself provides him with an isolated place where he can safely relive the past over and over. I'm here for selfish reasons. I feel lonely, so I want someone that can comfort me, provide me company. This might be cruel, but I didn't care as much at the Demiurge's stories as I did about his company. But it's not too different from him. His loneliness has overpowered what Lord George's case can give. And I don't want anyone to feel like that. Say, are you ever planning to leave this place? He goes silent. The atmosphere around me grows heavy and it gets a little harder to breathe. I get on my feet and look at him. I can't leave, child. But why is that? Leon's intervention in this world isn't limited to the two battles of the Aeon. If I wasn't blocking the way, they would have seen this world was destroyed a long time ago. I simply am unable to lead, child. What kind of father would I be if I didn't protect you? I understand that, but that's only how it is now. The situation hasn't changed and it won't change in the future, child. The aeons are persistent and timeless. Perhaps, but when you get down to it, all you've done is close yourself off and sit here. If you are happy with how things are now, then I suppose you don't need to do anything else. But I don't think that's the case. Are you tired of being locked up here? I'm sure you must have wondered at least once if there was a better way. If you didn't, for whatever reason, then let me help you. I know I can't do much compared to a god like you, but both of us have plenty of time, don't we? A shiver goes down my spine as I finish talking. The air keeps becoming thinner. The demiurge goes silent. A persistent tick-tock resonates from a distant corner in the dimension. Whether the source is a clock or something else, I can't tell. The rhythm is off. It accelerates and slows down at irregular intervals. Then the demiurge brings it to an end alongside his silence. I'm sorry, but please leave for now, Obley. I can't force you to go, but I want to be alone. The rejection is clear in his voice. The dimension gets colder, forcing me to hug myself to try to conserve warmth. But I don't stop looking up towards him. Alright, if you will, consider what I told you. When I open my eyes, I'm back at the small camp I set up the day prior. I finished eating and was about to take a nap when the demiurge pulled me in. I clipped my tongue with frustration. I didn't say anything wrong, so I can't help but be annoyed that he's essentially kicked me out. But I must not be too harsh. I understand what he's going through to a degree. Nerus was the same. Me and the Sage Sisters still are. He said he once said in semi-Bisson he should come around eventually. I shouldn't push him, but let him decide what he wants. This isn't just about bringing Nerus back now. I want to repay the demiurge for the kindness he has shown me, so I need to be understanding and patient. However, after weeks, I still haven't heard back from the demiurge. A feeling of monotony I have almost forgotten takes over me. Tired of playing the same memories over and over, I numb myself to the passage of time and let the part of my brain in charge of moral functions take over. The days blur together as I repeat the same task mechanically. In the brief moments of consciousness that slip between the cracks, I think back to Demiurge. Despite what I told him, I'm in a similar position. All I can do is wait for Domino to make a move. I know so much more now, but that alone isn't worth anything. I don't have power, I don't have allies, I'm isolated from the rest of the world. I can't build a sandcastle with a single grain. He's very good at what he does, I'll give him that. But part of it is my fault. If only I had seen through him earlier. I was laying down by the campfire. The smell of burning wood helps me relax. The constant cracking makes my neck tingle in all the right ways. Trying to close my eyes and excel. Before I fall asleep, a something behind me brings me back to reality. It's like a heavy stone being dragged. Don't be startled. I close my eyes and while I calm down my heart. Oh, did you decide to step out of your cell? Not quite. Am I dreaming? There's something more shuffling. He calls on himself before leaning over. I catch the silhouette of a hand out of the corner of my eye. It stops and lingers there. The fire makes the wood crack, embers fly off, but they don't make it far before they are snuffed by the cold of the night. The more the flames try to spread, the thinner they become, the lesser until they fade away. That's one thing I dislike, come to think of it. The hand finally pushes forward and timidly grasps my cheek. The scales covering it are hard and cold, and they are very slippery. The coldness is what sticks with me the most. It is not freezing like the night itself. There's a small ember somewhere there, hidden deep inside. The demons must be still at the fire. I want to go home. If I can't go back to that world I dreamed of when I was a child, now I want to go to the void. But I can't leave my children behind, not without knowing they will have a future. Yet the aeons, his hand stops and becomes stiff. I turn a bit from the cold. I admit I've thought about it, but I could never come up with a way to go back. It's impossible to do so without sacrificing something. The fire wavers like someone blowing on a lit match. It quickly fades, leaving us in nearly complete darkness. I grab the demiurge's hand as I sit up. His silhouette is faint under the light of the stars. Where can I distinctly identify 3 glassy, pale eyes? They look empty. They are surrounded by rugged tissue that interrupts the clean stone-like scales covering his body. Of course, maybe I know I shouldn't make promises I don't know I can keep, but if I don't lose sight of my goal, I will reach it eventually. Is it grief of me to risk that is true for helping both Nerus and Demiurge? No, that's the wrong way to frame it. The truth is that one's suffering can't stop while the other still is in pain. Both will lead me to the same place. I will help you be free. I don't know how long it will take. Years, decades, eons. It doesn't matter. Time is meaningless against the inevitable change. If a God can be made to change, then what cannot? I climb up a tree and take hold of one of its branches. I need one long enough, not too fragile but not too thick. It takes a while to find one that fulfills those requirements. After breaking the branch off and jumping down, I start making my way to a nearby river. I sit by it as I begin sharpening the tip of it with my knife. My handiwork is steady no matter how much time passes, but this should do. This stream is rich with healthy-looking fish. I'm salivating just thinking of the smell as it turns golden over the fire. But very soon my hunting is interrupted by some distant shouting. What's that, mortals? I didn't expect someone would come this deep into the woods. Maybe it's about time to move already. As I step out of the river, I realize that he's called my name. I hold the makeshift spear close to me as I stare in the direction of the voice. It's drawing closer. Soon its owner is my field view from behind a group of trees. It looks like one of the locals, but I get the feeling it must be a safe-sitter. I finally found you, Obley. I heard you became a hermit after leaving, but I didn't think you'd be living alone in here. It's been a while since someone has talked to me so casually and tones rubs me the wrong way. I saw that discomfort and replied as calm as I can. Yes, well, what place do I have to go? Let's get to the point. Did Naruto send you? He squints slightly as he steps closer. Knock, one of the archons in charge of Earth, is requesting your presence. I'm taken aback from an instant because I remember Tim being the archon of Earth. He either was replaced or more archons are working with him now. Tell me now, why would any of them summon me? And why would they send a state sitter instead of the Senate? Who am I kidding? Isn't it obvious? And I guess you would be confused, so he asked me to deliver this to you. The state sitter produced an envelope. It's black with a single golden letter printed on it. I feel I've seen the letter somewhere while on Earth, but I can't recall any specifics. After living in isolation for so long, I wonder why Nerus seemed so loopy at times. Are you feeling alright? I take the envelope, open it, and read its contents. Is this a joke? No, not hope you will accept helping us out of your over-listen. He thinks his terms should be appealing enough for you. The state sitter gives me a little bow before turning away and walking back to the same way he came. I contemplate stopping him, but I figure all he'll say is to meet with a knock if I want more information. Still, if what's written here is true, then? Oh, please. I was expecting you. Were you watching? Do you already know Nominal is finally making his next move and he's not alone? There isn't anything in the letter conclusively pointing at Nominal being involved, but I can't imagine otherwise. I wasn't expecting the letter's contents. Partially because I didn't know such a thing as possible. There must be more to this than I can glance from this letter alone. The contents can be summarized as follows. They will help me bring Nerus back from the void. In exchange, I will follow the instructions to end the demerger's life. Images keep blinking in and out. The more time passes, the more similar they become. Oberly stayed in Nerus' mansion for some time after his co-worker's death. Eventually, he left and closed himself off from the world. He would move some other remote place every once in a while, but he would always follow this routine of hunting for his food, resting, maybe going to a nearby settlement for something nature couldn't provide him with. And then, seeing this makes my heart sink, but for some time his eyes would become glassy and he would start mumbling something under his breath. I managed to catch some of them. A few are stories of his time with the descendants or Nerus, while others were incomprehensible to me. He would mumble similar things in his sleep as well. While I can understand why living with the mortals gave Obi so much pain, was it worth it? Wasn't this as painful even more to make you disconnect from reality, Obi? I can't take this. I'll order an egg to fast forward to the end of this record. I noticed something new at the very end. After the longest time, a state sitter claiming to work for Nog visited him to deliver a letter. Shortly after, he returned to Earth and traveled to what looked like a mountain or perhaps an inactive volcano in the middle of the ocean. I scratched my head. If I recall correctly, it was mentioned during the Abbey murder investigation that Nog lived somewhere called Hollow Mountain. This had to be that place. However, before I can witness their meeting, a bright light envelops me. Finalizing playback. I see you through stained glass, but your form is clear as my reflections in still water. I hear you as if I was there, but I can't reach you. My fingertips freeze when touching the image of your cheek. Then I see my reflection and realize I don't look like myself anymore. That sound again. I thought I can't find the sources definitely nearby. I was too preoccupied with what I just witnessed that I didn't expect to hear it again. The timing is likely a culprit. Perhaps it's normal for it to break into static, and that is why its AI doesn't acknowledge it. Still, it bugs me. I'll be on the lookout for it from now on, just to make sure. In any case, next, the timeline of 3 different records in the same time period, and none of them seem to follow Obley. These records are about something that happened on Earth in 3041. It makes sense Obley wasn't the sole involved actor. I have a good guess of where this is going, so let us not waste any more time. And this is 2020. So we're the same year as what we just watched just now. So the person just mentioned that these 3 new stories here doesn't have Obley in them. So who could it be? Might be people we met in chapter 1, like Elisa Biden or anybody else in chapter 1. Perhaps maybe the abbots or the monks. In the next video, I'll start one of these. So, Obley has been having a rough time. He seems to be all by himself. He can't live as a descendant. He can't live as a Say-Sitter. And he can't live as a mortal. Especially after the death of this person he's been befriending, who was a co-worker of his, because he lived on a planet for a while inhabited by these strong-looking bug-like people, and he would work at the fish dock with this other person, and he befriended this person, and they died, so that only added to the pain Obley always had with him not being around with Nerus. So it looks like it is possible that Nerus can be freed, but it mentioned that in exchange for that, he would have to kill the Demiurge, who is the god for the descendants. It looks like the descendants, the Demiurge, looks like the Demiurge himself is in a very sad state. He's very depressed. He can't see his family. He can't get out of the place that he created for himself, out for the safety of the descendants. So, it's like both Obley and the Demiurge were in rough shape. So, will Obley kill the Demiurge? Is that what the Demiurge wants? And why did they send... I forgot who sent the Say-Sitter, but I think it was like Nock, who is one of the gods who, or maybe Osiris, I think, one of the descendants who sent a Say-Sitter out to give Obley a message. That was pretty unusual, that they would send a Say-Sitter out to Obley. So, next time we get started on one of these 3 stories, there's still a lot more to go up here. And once we complete all these 3 here, more up here will unlock. So that's all I have for now for Nerus. The information for all the game, the information, all the information for the game in the description box below. So all the information for the game's description box below. Here are the links here. Go to Patreon here. This is a coffee here. The creator has a coffee you want to donate. There's no perks, but you want to donate, one-time donation, that would be helpful for the game. Now, Patreon, you can also donate to Patreon. I think there should be some perks for being a patron of the game. And this is the itch.io link. I believe this is itch.io link where you can download the game at. So, like I said at the start of the video, the creator said that he hopes to have a new update out by the end of the month. But he doesn't, then hopefully sometime in May he'll have a new update out. But we still have some things to follow. We still have some things to cover in this current build with the 3 new stories. So if the creator does post a new update out before I'm done with those, I'm not going to be able to download the update immediately. But once I finish with these stories, then I'll download the new update in case he does have an update out early. So there's a connection between Obley and the characters from chapter 1, at least her body and all the rest. We don't know what it is, but I think if we continue with chapter 2, we'll figure out more. So, thank you all very much for watching. Goodbye.